Tinubu re-emphasizes commitment to good governance, happiness of Nigerians.
Avoidance of chaos is necessary to build this country and move its aspiration across the line for the benefit of all.
Withdrawal of Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso dominate talks as ECOWAS Chief of Defense Staff deliberate on regional security.
No one nation can withstand the current challenges we have. We need to work as a team.
Now is the right time for media to promote professionalism and national cohesion, Minister of Information tells media owners.
Media is in the forefront of promoting unity.
It's a pleasure to have you join us on NTA Network News. I am Lami Ali. Presenting business news tonight is Benny Adams. Adiola Kome-Akere will be reading from our Lagos Network Center, and Badi Adeleye has the latest news in the world of sports. Don't forget to follow us on our website, nta.ng/live, NTA News on X, as well as on other social media platforms displayed on the screen. President Bola Tinubu has re-emphasized that good governance and other measures that will lead to the general happiness of Nigerians remain his topmost priorities. The president laid the emphasis as he received a group of Nigerian leaders of thought under the umbrella of the Patriots, led by the former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Chief Emeka Anyoku. State House correspondent Musbah Danwahab has the details.
A clarion call is sounding again. The Patriots are here to answer. And perhaps the leaders of thought also have an urgent call for the Nigerian leader, all in the pursuit of a greater Nigeria. From the advantage position of experience as well as observation of global trends at an earlier national colloquium, they see a Nigerian situation calling for a timely action to protect Nigeria's unity in diversity.
The view was that Nigeria needs a new legitimate Nigeria People's Democratic Constitution. That the present constitution is illegitimate and cannot deal effectively with the myriad challenges facing this country. In other words, that our present governance system needs to be restructured.
In further recommendations, they suggest establishment of a national referendum and a national constituent assembly that will reconsider the existing constitution, report of the 2014 confab, as well as other similar national conferences.
The draft constitution produced by the Constituent Assembly, as I said, should be put to a national referendum, and if approved, should then be signed by the President as the genuine, legitimate Nigerian People's Constitution. I've listened to you carefully.
And though currently preoccupied with economic reform for greater prosperity of the country, President Tinubu equally believes in the necessity of the recommended reforms.
Avoidance of chaos is necessary to build this country and move its aspiration across the line for the benefit of all of us. I'm still preoccupied with thinking and tinkering with the economic reform. That's my first priority. Once I get that reform in place as soon as possible, then I look at other options.
The president assures of his commitment to good governance and unity of Nigeria.
I definitely want to assure you that whatever is necessary, I'll put happiness and good governance in the heart of all Nigerians. This is what I will do.
On the nationwide agitation by a section of Nigerians, the leaders advised federal and state governments to dialogue with leaders of the protest for a common solution. From the State House, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
The incoming head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Esther Wilson-Jack, expresses readiness to implement the vision of President Bola Tinubu of transforming the nation's federal civil service for maximum efficiency. The State House correspondent Musbal Nwab reports that Mrs. Wilson-Jack expresses readiness to work, who came alongside the outgoing head of the Federal Civil Service, Mrs. Folashade Yemieson, was on an introductory visit to the President at the State House. After the meeting held behind closed doors, Mrs. Yemieson said the visit was necessary to further prepare the incoming number one civil servants for the task ahead.
Sharing his vision for the country and especially for the civil service with the incoming head of service, and that should prepare her, that should make her hit the ground running so that she can achieve all that Mr. President had discussed with us.
I'm sure you must have been working with her in the civil service for some time now. How capable would you say she is for this very, very important task?
She is very, very capable. She's very intelligent. She's hardworking and she's professional and she has a lot of empathy. So I'm sure she can carry that responsibility. I have no doubts at all in my mind that she would do the work very well.
I'm very, very grateful to Mr. President for the confidence and trust that he has reposed in me in appointing me as the head of the civil service of the Federation. I see it as a divine assignment, and I have had the opportunity to assure Mr. President that by the grace of God, I will not disappoint him.
The incoming head of the Federal Civil Service, DD Esther Wilson-Jack, is due for swearing in the coming days. President Bola Tinubu says ECOWAS will continue to persuade the military leaders of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso to return to their nation's fold. President Tinubu, who is the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of States and Governments, reaffirms this position at a meeting with ECOWAS Chiefs of Defense Staff on Friday in Abuja. The president says the priority of the authority is to ensure that security is enhanced and that constitutional government is defended and promoted in the region. He acknowledges that it has been a challenging tenure for him since 3 members indicated their exit, adding that the authority will work hard to persuade them to return whichever way. The ECOWAS chairman commends the defense chiefs for their commitment to regional stability and protection of constitutional governance. Chairman ECOWAS Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, informed the president that the defense chiefs had agreed that challenges in the region, such as insurgency and unconstitutional changes in governments, must be addressed collectively. He reveals that discussions at the meeting also focus on enhancing the capacity of ECOWAS military components, including the proposed standby force. Still on ECOWAS, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, says ECOWAS is making concerted efforts to return Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger back to the sub-regional bloc. General Christopher Musa stated this when he led delegation of ECOWAS defense chiefs to the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Office of the National Security Advisor, where he expressed concern over the withdrawal of the 3 former members, noting that it could lead to increased instability in West Africa.
member states.
It has been 3 days of critical meeting for ECOWAS defense chiefs, discussing a wide range of issues, including political instability, evolving security threats, and the quest for economic prosperity in the sub-region.
Nigeria has demonstrated its commitment, to West Africa's integrity, West Africa's governance processes, and West Africa's security.
The absence of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger remains a serious concern to the bloc. The 3 countries withdrew from ECOWAS and formed the Association of Sahel Countries due to political differences, security challenges, and sovereignty concerns.
Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, they have been invited. Their flags are flying, but their seats are empty, to show the entire world that we are not enemies. We are brothers, and we look forward to when they will come back safely into ECOWAS.
ECOWAS defense chiefs visited the National Counter-Terrorism Center in the office of the National Security Advisor.
We hope to partner with our brothers in the West African sub-region and the Sahel in the process of talking on how we're going to come together to address this threat that is really stopping our people from reaping the dividends of democracy.
The 42nd session of the ECOWAS Chief of Defense Staff platform resolved to ensure collective fight against regional security threats and regrets the absence of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun has visited the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, at the Naval Headquarters Abuja and presented the land title documents for a proposed naval base in the state. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani reports.
Presenting a title document of 100 hectares of land for a naval base in Ogun State to the Nigerian Navy, Governor Abiodun says establishing such a base would leverage Ogun's bitumen deposits, support the natural gas project, and protect potential oil reserves.
We will be able to attract investors to our state. And when investors come to our state, they will employ people, and this, of course, will trickle down to the prosperity. We purpose to achieve this vision through what we describe as our implementation pillars. And that is acronym ISHEA.
As part of our role, it is our duty to ensure that we fulfill this aspect, which is provision of security, in order for the investors to have confidence in investing in this.
Ogun State already has strong ties with the Navy, being under its Western Command, which oversees maritime assets in the economic zone. The governor desires to further strengthen ties in the area of maritime security for vulnerable coastal communities, including Tongeji, an island close to Benin Republic, but with strong Nigerian Navy presence. The proposed naval base in Ogun State is expected to enhance maritime security. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, at an interactive session with owners of some private broadcast media outfits in Nigeria, says that now is the right time for media practitioners to reassess their activities of promoting professionalism and national cohesion. This was when the minister led the presidential media team on an advocacy visit in Lagos. Salihu Gwanara has the reports.
To these elated media owners, the minister and his team are indeed August visitors in the month of August. This is in furtherance of the presidential media team's advocacy visit to critical stakeholders, particularly those in the media industry. Lessons from the recent protest and the role of the private broadcast media dominated discussions.
We also know that even as you do this task of holding government to account, which is your constitutional role that you are playing, we have to have in Nigeria before we can have a functional Nigerian media. It is incumbent on us to ensure that media is in the forefront of promoting unity, conserving our collective existence and ensuring that all of us stay in peace.
At Arise, we believe and agree that subsidy must be removed and agree that there should be a market-driven exchange rate, but not at the same time.
We will make sure that job is done with a lot of responsibility. We will make sure that we're also partners in progress with government. I've often told people who care to ask me that I don't belong to a political party.
Where I feel that a lot of focus should be on, and I feel this is also going to benefit media houses like us, is a regulation of some sort on all these other forms of media. These are the areas these people go to cause to wreak this havoc. That's where the insightful things come out from. They pick a very small video or very little information they have found and twist and twist and twist it.
The government image maker reaffirmed policies on local government autonomy and in critical sectors such as agriculture, health, security, and education, which are efforts towards building a strong foundation for socio-economic prosperity, particularly for the youth.
If people are asking, what has the federal government done with their money? Which is a very legitimate question to ask. People should also ask why the state governments are also doing theirs. Because all of us together make what we call the Nigerian Federation.
The team crisscrossed the head offices of Arise Television, Channels Television, and Television Continental TVC in Lagos. Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
More stories on Network News after the break. Please stay tuned. Vice President Kashim Shettima lauds the donation of 1 billion naira to the federal government's food support program and 4,600 units of digital devices for distribution to schools by MTN Nigeria. It was when he hosted the chairman of MTN Nigeria, Ernest Ndukwe. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that Vice President Shettima says the gesture by the telecommunications company is in support of the federal government's efforts in addressing hardship in the country and worthy of emulation, an indication of commitment to the development of the Nigerian economy. Shettima promised that the donation will be judiciously managed by the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment and the Office of the National Security Advisor. On the distribution of 4,600 digital devices, each pre-installed with the U-Lesson application, the Vice President says the MTN team will liaise with his office to work on the criteria for beneficiaries and to facilitate the distribution of the devices to secondary schools in the 6 geopolitical zones. The chairman of MTN Nigeria, Ernest Ndukwe, commends the federal government in reviving the economic fortunes of the country through various initiatives rolled out across ministries, departments and agencies of government. On the 1 billion naira donation, Ndukwe says it's in support of the most vulnerable, marginalized and undeserved communities to ensure no one is left behind. Youth empowerment is at the center of President Tinubu's administration. Vice President Kashim Shettima states this when he receives the leadership of the APC Youth Wing on a courtesy visit. Vice President Shettima says, apart from addressing genuine concerns affecting the youths, the administration's focus on young persons is premised on the trust and confidence the president has in them. He expresses confidence in the ability of the present administration in addressing all of the concerns raised across different quarters and appeals for more time for the government's plans and programs to make desired impact. He commends the leadership of the APC Youth Wing for their steadfastness, commitment and patience, assuring that all the group's requests would be addressed in due course. Borno State government has resettled another 1,100 households from 10 communities in Bama local government area, with a call on them to be resilient and to work in rebuilding their lives through agriculture. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum also inaugurated the 500 housing units for the voluntary resettlements at Ngurosoye village, 14 kilometers away from Bama, headquarters of the local government area. Mohammed Goni has the story.
Bama local government, adjudged to be the worst hit by the years of insurgency in the northeast, still has the largest IDPs camp, in spite of the resettlement of Bama town, headquarters of the local government area. The state authorities say the continued resettlement of displaced families and communities is in line with the 25-year development plan, signifying commitment to building back Borno better and stronger, and to close all camps by the end of 2026. The resettlement of 10 communities is said to be a significant move towards closing IDPs camps in the already congested Bama town. Each of the male and female returning heads of households receive household materials that include mattress, mat, blanket, mosquito net, a bag of rice, agrochemicals, and 50,000 naira, while each housewife got 25,000 naira. The elated returnees expressed gratitude to the state government for giving them a new lease of life after years of displacement from their ancestral homes. Governor Bagana Omar Zulum, who highlighted efforts made in rebuilding communities in Bama local government area since 2019, also noted the ongoing rebuilding of Dara Jamal and Termoa, among others.
The essence of our resettlement in a dignified manner is to ensure that people will start earning their means of livelihood by themselves. No any government can afford to distribute food and non-food items to the increasing population growth of Borno State.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Reconstruction, Rehabilitation and Resettlement, Ali Goni, restated commitment of the ministry to voluntary resettlement drive of the state government and appreciated Governor Zulum for the continued support to the ministry to discharge its statutory responsibilities. Chairman Ad hoc Committee on Resettlement of Bama, Abba Jato Mohammed, appreciated Governor Zulum for impacting on the lives of citizens through resettlement and resuscitation of livelihoods. The governor proceeded to Dara Jamal village to inspect the ongoing construction of 500 housing estates to pave way for resettlement of the community, during which the governor announced that additional 2,000 non-permanent shelters will also be constructed to accommodate neighboring settlements. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
Minister of Works Dave Umahi has directed contractors handling the construction of the 107-kilometer Enugu-Nisha Road dualization to brace towards achieving the renewed hope agenda with respect to speed and quality of work. The minister said this at a meeting with the facilitators of the project, NTA Nigeria, representatives of Enugu state governments and the contracting companies. Concerned by what he termed lack of commitment on the part of some contractors to the plight of Nigerians, the minister says the Enugu-Nisha Road dualization project under the Road Infrastructure Development and Refurbishment Investment Tax Credit Scheme is being delayed, describing the experiences of motorists on the road as disheartening against President Tinubu's intention for Nigerians.
Best to do it. We should get a subcontractor to get stone base to fill such potholes or holes. And there will be no mercy for any worker of Ministry of Works that fails to adhere to this strictly. And the way contractors refuse to obey this instruction, they will be sanctioned. So my advice to NTA is to look for another contractor within that axis if they want to get the job done.
Umahi emphasized that the current administration is open to contract review using prevailing rates as he commends the MTN for funding the critical infrastructure. Meanwhile, a heavy downpour has led to the cutoff of the Kano-Maiduguri highway at the Guskuri village of Katagum local government area of Bauchi State, causing destruction and forcing motorists to seek alternative routes. Works Minister also directed immediate assessment of the road cutoff as the Bauchi-Kano-Maiduguri axis, with plans to review liability period for all federal government road projects. Let's get some business news with Benny Adams as our anchor. It's over to you, Benny.
Thank you, Lami. And talking business, the federal government is saying the possibility of generating 7 billion naira through the cotton, textile and garments revitalization program. Musa Babaliu reports that more than 500,000 hectares will be made available for the cultivation of cotton under the project.
The federal government is making efforts towards reviving the moribund textile manufacturing industry in Nigeria. Discussion towards achieving the feat is underway between key players in the industry and government representatives. During the discussion, it was discovered that raw materials, especially cotton, are critical in the revival initiative. The target is to put 500,000 hectares under cultivation.
If we do that, we are going to create 1.4 million jobs. We are going to have revenue, FS revenue of between $7.2 billion to $8.2 billion.
And this is the reason for this engagement with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
Why did our farmers move away from cotton production to other staples or other crops? There must be a reason, and I think we need to look into those areas and see why were those reasons.
The International Cotton Advisory Committee is set to assist with good agronomic practices in the cultivation of cotton.
To renew the hope of cotton farmers in Nigeria will be a very, very big and welcome relief. And we all know the entire value chain creates a very large number of jobs.
More than 1.4 million jobs are expected to be created from cotton cultivation, ginning, textile manufacturing and garment production. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Michael Hadi Ango as the acting chairman of the Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service. President Tinubu directs Ango to bring his more than 20 years of experience and proven track record in revenue administration, financial management and organizational leadership to bear. Michael Hadi Ango, who hails from Kebbi State, has served in various capacities, including the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms. As acting chairman of the FCT IRS, Michael Ango will oversee the implementation of strategic initiatives to enhance revenue generation and ensure fiscal sustainability. And still on federal government efforts, the federal government, through the Presidential Initiative on Compressed Natural Gas, has introduced digital platforms to proactively enable private sector participation, enhancing a 50% discount on conversion of vehicles. This is part of efforts to bring down the cost of transportation in the country. Lydia Sampson has those details.
The initiative on compressed natural gas is deploying the CLICK initiative to enable citizens clamoring for quick relief from the high cost of living and petrol prices get cheaper fuel, which also means cheaper rides. This is by accessing the PCNGI portal and verification from respective associations for eligibility.
We need to stop and thank Mr. President for taking this decision. All what they are doing is to make Nigeria a better place for us. And we know what this will translate into.
CNG for the rideshare industry will mean that our young people going to work, going to school, going to party, going to have a good time, going to church and going to mosque, will be able to afford transportation.
Key players acknowledged the revolutionary impact compressed natural gas will play in unlocking the economy across the value chains, with positive ripple effects on livelihoods.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has spoken about his determination too. And what we are witnessing here today by PCNGI and its partners in the public and private sectors is yet another inspiring chapter on the journey of prosperity and development.
CNG offers a guaranteed answer to this clamor, and this is why Naseni is very determined to focus on this area, bringing our operational principles of collaboration, creation, and commercialization very speedily.
They note the key roles the digital platforms and CNG conversion will play in introducing eco-friendly and cheaper cleaner fuel towards reducing emission and enhanced climate-friendly environment. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And at the end of the last weekday of trading on the Nigerian exchange, investors gained 270.31 billion naira as the all-share index advanced by 0.48%. A total of 477.4 million shares in 9,529 deals, corresponding to a market value of 8.168 billion, were traded. Today's data shows 21% decline in volume, 41% decline in turnover, but 5% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization is 56 trillion naira. And on the aggregate, 117 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 38 gainers and 19 losers. Veritas Capital Assurance recorded the highest volume of 103 million traded shares, followed by Owando with 52.4 million and United Bank for Africa 42.8 million. That is it on business. But more news with Adiola, who is standing by in our Lagos studio. Adiola, you can take it away from here.
Thank you, Busy Benny. A memorandum of understanding to facilitate efficient carriage of cargoes from the seaport to the inland dry port has been signed between the Nigerian Shippers Council and the Nigerian Railway Corporation. This collaborative move, stakeholders confirm, will fast-track delivery of cargoes to the hinterland and develop critical transport infrastructure. Amaka Owo reports that a communique was produced at the end of the summit.
Over the years, lack of functional railway system for evacuation of cargoes from seaports to various distribution centers and to the hinterland remains a major challenge in the shipping industry and the ease of doing business in Nigeria. To this end, the synergy between the Nigerian Shippers Council and Nigerian Railway Corporation through a signed memorandum of understanding is to tackle these hindrances in the movement of cargoes.
And now that the Shippers Council, who is in control of that, is going to take the bull by the horn, I think the road will be freer. Goods will get to the market at a cheaper rate, because going by rail will make the end product or the raw material go to the various factories at a cheaper rate.
This government is promoting trade activities and promoting transport infrastructure. We have seen that the rail transportation is the best.
Presentations were made by various stakeholders on enhancing the railway infrastructural development for seamless movement of cargoes from the seaports to the hinterland, and also the role of the Nigeria Customs Service in the evacuation of cargoes.
There needs to be a deliberate and prioritized effort to connect rail to the ports. And there are a lot of low-hanging fruits in this respect.
Government should also look inwards and see that the resources collected through the port, majority of it should also be reinforced back into the development of the port infrastructure.
The Nigerian Railway Corporation plays a critical role in providing rail services and facilitating carriage of goods. The Nigerian Shippers Council, on the other hand, enhances intermodal connectivity and fast-tracks delivery of cargoes. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Nigeria's education system has undergone severe reforms from the old 6334 system, now restructured to basic 1 to 9 senior class and tertiary education. Despite the reforms, adherence to age requirements has been a thorny issue many parents have failed to comply with. In this report, Drug Bokwola examines the implication of having underage students in tertiary institutions and other levels of education.
Education, according to experts, is broken into different stages such as pre, nursery and primary schools, among others, with each stage having an age bracket for effective assimilation and ability to cope with the mental rigor. Oftentimes, parents, especially those who enroll their wards in private schools, are eager to hasten the completion, leading to admission of underage students in tertiary institutions. The implications of this, according to educationists, are far-reaching, especially on the psychological development of the students.
And we do not prepare students enough through the various tiers of the educational system for the higher level of education, we may find out that we are pushing students that are not ready and that will resort at most to shortcuts to just get the emblem, I am a graduate.
Stakeholders also bear their minds on the appropriate age for admission into the university.
At 16, the maturity is not there. University is an environment that you meet a lot of people. You even meet people who are older, So for you to interact with such people, it will not be easy for you.
Many of them get into the university environment not prepared for the challenges that are requisite or that are required by the university environment. So they probably are not cognitively developed enough. Their emotions are not ready to carry the burdens. And that's why you see that many of them get into the university system, get carried away with peer pressure, get carried away with distractions, and become liabilities.
For the avoidance of doubt, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has pegged the entry-level age for university admission at age 16. In Lagos, Joel Ukbola, NTA News.
There is a certain tribe known around the globe as the indigenous people. They are the custodians of the diverse cultural and biological landscape man has ever known. Yet, they face marginalization, extreme poverty, and human rights violation. And so, on a day set aside globally to celebrate this group of people, efforts are on to protect and preserve their rights and culture. Charles Alpha reports.
Now, a day like this reminds people of their roots and cultural heritage, but beyond it is the need to cherish and promote it for generations yet unborn. For instance, the attire I'm wearing is of the Kwararafa indigenous people, depicting the rich cultural heritage over centuries.
Aside these beautiful attires, other interesting attributes of the indigenous people is that they safeguard 80% of the biodiversity due to their control of land and forests. Unique dance steps, cuisines, morals, and values. All these need to be preserved for posterity.
Except for a day like this, that people will begin to now go back to their history. Certainly, sooner than later, you discover that the people may even forget where they come from.
Indigenous people must be respected because they own the land and it is their land. And we must be able to respect them. We can't come from different places and come and displace the people who are indigenous to the community. And this again brings about the question of tolerance.
For the over 371 indigenous tribes in Nigeria, the cultural diversity speaks volume. For the indigenous peoples of the FCT, blessed with 9 tribes, they are using the annual observance to call for more recognition, taking cognizance of this year's theme, protecting the rights of indigenous peoples in voluntary isolation.
While Nigeria celebrates Indigenous Peoples Day, stakeholders are saying that there is need for the country to leverage its cultural diversity to promote peace and unity of the nation. In Abuja, Tessie Omeri, NTA News.
We apologize for the mix-up in the introduction of that report. As you saw, Tessie Omeri packaged it and not Charles Alpha. Still on culture-related activities, Osogbo, the Osun state capital, hosts thousands of Osun goddess devotees and tourists from across the world as they gather for the grand finale of the popular Osun Osogbo festival. Correspondent Muyiwa Omowumi covered the event, and his report is here presented.
The entry of the votary maiden, a symbol of purity and hope, into Osun Osogbo Grove signaled the climax of this year's Osun Osogbo festival. Osun State Governor Senator Adebola Adeleke, represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Honorable Teslim Igbalaye, reiterated the commitment of government to supporting cultural initiatives that promote the state on a global stage. Dignitaries see the festival as a period to honor the Osun goddess of fertility and also for believers to ask for her blessings.
Osun is a mother of all. She contributes to the foundation of the city of Osogbo. She prevents invaders.
What we do with Osun Osogbo
is a settlement of covenant. It's an agreement between the leaders of Osogbo, who are Obas, and the city.
This festival is very, very beautiful, amazing festival.
My DNA, I looked back to my ancestors praying, and it led me here. And there are a lot of people in the States that celebrate Osun.
The festival, which spanned 2 weeks, had activities of rituals, processions, and cultural performances.
The Olympics is gradually coming to a close, and we join Bade Adeleye for sports updates.
All right, many thanks and welcome to Sports Update. All right, let's begin with the Olympics. As worries continue to rise about Nigeria's prospect for podium finishes at the ongoing games after poster girl Tobi Amusan fell short in a bid to reach the final of the women's 100 meters hurdles. The world record holder clocked 12.55 seconds in the semi-final to finish third and miss out on automatic qualification for the final showdown. Hopes were raised when France was disqualified for lane infringement, but that was dashed as appeal was not filed in the allotted time for a possible replacement. Team Nigeria is destined to equal the now infamous record of not winning any medal after same was recorded at the 2012 London Games. Back home, ahead of the 2024-2025 season of the Nigeria Premier Football League on August 31st and CAF Confederation Cup, Enyimba International of Aba take on FC Cologne of Sierra Leone in an international friendly on Saturday in Aba at 3 in the afternoon. Enyimba Sporting Director and ex-football international Ifeanyi Ekweme said that the CAF International friendly between the two West African club sides will not only aid preparation for the new season, but foster already existing bilateral ties between Nigeria and Sierra Leone. The match will also have former Super Eagles captain and chairman of Enyimba, Nwankwo Kanu, join Mohamed Kalon, who owns the visiting alongside Uche Okechukwu in attendance after Enyimba unveiled new players and kits earlier on Friday. All right, let's let you know that President Bola Tinubu has extended his condolences to the family of former president of African football, Issa Hayatou, who passed away at the age of 77. Mr. Hayatou was also a one-time acting president of FIFA, the world's football governing body. President Tinubu commiserates with the Cameroonian Football Federation, the people of Cameroon, and the African football community. The president describes the passing of the legendary football administrator as a huge loss, underlining his contributions to the development of sport in Africa and beyond. The president prays for the repose of the soul of the departed and strength to his family to bear his loss. Issa Hayatou was CAF president from 1988 to 2017. And of course, that's our beat on sports. The news continues.
Thank you, Bade, and that's Network News for tonight. We appreciate your being a part of it. Do have a good weekend.